Grand Rise, Willie Whittle. It shall be dope. This is the pod. Let's get into it. Welcome back, beautiful people. I have been through some ups and downs recently. Nothing crazy. Um, but if you hear tell it from me, like sometimes the roller coaster be doing its dips and flips. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of focus, discipline changes, conversations that I've had over the past couple of weeks has helped me get to this point in my life where I see that there is always some silver lining around the clouds. And I know I'm a villainous type of person. Sometimes I'm in my villain air bag a lot because I see some stuff that I see, and it is what it is. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. But that doesn't change the way I allocate energy. All right, so the allocation of energy is very, very important. It's a powerful thing, especially when you speak it into existence and when you actually believe in it. It becomes one of those things that's essential for you to move forward in everyday life, um, and then actually inspire others with just your actions. Um, a couple of things that I talked about before was with one of my friends. I told him I finally found this clip on IG that I saw a couple years ago or whatever it was. It was a while ago, and it was a Marine saying that he made sure to make his bed every day. He said, if you want to change the world, make your bed every day. He said it'll give you the first success feeling of completing a task. It will allow you to have that sense of accomplishment because you're focused, you got up, you did something, that sense of accomplishment that you could leave from that position and now you start attacking tasks with the mentality that you can take care of them, you can handle them, and you can finish them. And if you go out and you have a bad day, at least you come home to a made bed, right? So it's like setting yourself up, or being very preemptive on your energy and your feelings. So the energy allocation doesn't have to be all day long. People are going to have bad days. We're going to have rough times, but there are things that we can definitely control that helps balance our energy, right? So I also read this statement a couple weeks ago, and I had to write it down because it was important. It was important to one of my life moves early on because I'll get into the story after I read the quote. I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. My prayers were answered. The only way that we're going to find the strength in our energy is if we exercise it. We have every right in our energy to ask for what we feel like we need to ask for, because I know some people they sit back and they'll pray like, man, I wish I had $1 million, right? But let's be honest, there are many tools or many things that are presented to you that could help you build this $1 million, if you choose to follow them, or depending on what you want to put that energy into. My story was, I remember we lived in this apartment complex um, back in our old neighborhood, and it was me, my wife, and at the time, it was my two youngest kids, and we lived in this apartment complex in the hood, and when we were there, um, the energy wasn't right. It just was not a good place for us to be in, and the apartment had issues. But at the time, it was what I could afford, and it was so crazy that um, when my kids went to sleep, they didn't want to go to sleep. They were crying. Like, they were just like, the energy in the rooms that they were in wasn't right. And they were just like, they couldn't rest. They felt it. And there were times where I had to sit up literally in their room, uh, just to make them feel safer, or, calm down about where they're at. And I'm talking about at like 1 and 3 or 1 and 2 or whatever the age is. 1 and 3, I think it was. And so we're trying to like really get to the bottom of what we can do with this information. Like, and my wife was like, we got to do something different. We got to make a change. And I was like, I agree. So I went and I sat, on one of these, on a wall, like just go sit on a wall and just let space kind of take over a little bit. And as I'm sitting there, I just thought to myself, I really dug into my energy and my prayer bag, and I started asking to help me see specifically what I needed, right? And as I started calling it out, I said, I need a house that can house my family. 3 bedroom, 2 bathrooms, reasonable amount of money, and there was plenty more, right? And I just was asking specifically, and then I went and I wrote it down. And then I looked at it every day, and every day I grinded, and every day I thought. And it's kind of like the whole car thing. Like, if you really like a car, me was like a Yukon. So every time I said, man, I really want that Yukon AT4 edition, and then you see it every time that you get outside or you go on the street or whatever, and it's like, man, that car's everywhere. Well, that car is what you awoke your energy to see. So, in this story, I awoke my energy to get the house that we needed, and it was an opportunity. It was a crazy situation, and it was an opportunity that arose where, a friend of our family, my wife's best friend, actually, he got into a thing, and they had a house, and their his girlfriend, their relationship wasn't working out. And he was like, well, we're breaking up, and we're not keeping this house. Like, we're not renting this house anymore. And he approached me and he asked me, he said, hey, what if we just move you into this house? And it was a hike in rent. It was going to be me paying more utilities. I mean, it was like I was going to have to spend some money. And without hesitation, I was like, yes, because my energy had pushed me to this point. This is the blessing that is supposed to be in front of me, right? And my wife was so shocked. That was one of the most surprised moments that my wife had felt, because she knew that my fear was going to have me say, no, we could fight through this, and I'm okay with being uncomfortable until I'm comfortable. No, not that time. That time I was like, no, I need to do whatever it takes to elevate to get to this point, to push. And it's fine. Let's do it. I was all in. And we ended up living in that place for 4 years. And it was this springboard. It was a huge springboard for us to progress into the world that I'm in now. And helping out with how my kids feel about their living spaces, and they all had their own bedrooms, which was like a big deal, right? Because if you grew up in the hood, you might not have had your own bedroom. But it's just one of those things that, like, you can't take it for granted. You can't. And it all starts with how we allocate our energy. The allocation of energy just boils down to making sure that what you want and what you need is defined clearly, and then you can actually say, I can achieve this action with this discipline, and it could get me where I need to be. But we're talking about necessity. I mean, sometimes we talk about frivolous wants as far as we like need them, and we really don't. We don't. But there's a lot of work entailed into that. Like there is, you have to really feel like you can put yourself in that kind of mental space, inside that mental space, and that's why it's it's huge once you realize it. It's a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing. And then the same thing can go for like when you allocate your energy in a negative way. I project heavily. I'm the guy who's like, you know, that's exactly the way that, I say in villainry, right? That's the way that villains are portrayed. And if you hear me start monologuing about being a villain or being in my villain era and stuff, and you'll hear me, which I know my last two podcasts was like heavy in the villain space. But they're visionaries. They're visionaries, and the thing is, like, there are a bunch of people who are visionaries, and they're moving in their energy, and it's just the least popular opinion. That doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't make it against the thought. Like some people are afraid to dream. Some people are afraid to speak on how they feel and what their thoughts are. For society shunning. You can't say, man, I really wish that kid would shut the hell up. And you're like, oh, it's just a little kid. They don't know any better. Yeah, but we all felt it. We all know it's true. And even if you don't know it's true, or even if you really feel like they're just kids and they can be as loud as they want to, that's cool. Well, my truth is, shorty loud and you need to calm down. Because there's just so many different dynamics. But, I feel like I got back into Afro Samurai anime. If you haven't seen Afro Samurai, great anime to get into. One of my classics, my favorites. I'll probably watch it because I'm a kung fu kid too. And then Afro Samurai is just cream of the crop. But the fact that the whole dynamic of the number one, number two headband of ancient times is like this game that makes people shift their energy and focus to another area, another person, another being instead of their own lives. Like now the chase is on. And it's like when we put something in front of us, we dangle the carrot, right? And in Afro Samurai, the carrot is literally the number two headband. For people who don't know, like in Afro Samurai, there's a number one and a number two headband. And if you wear the number one headband, the only person who can challenge you for it is the person with the number two headband. The problem with the number two headband is everyone can challenge you for the number two headband. So with the number two, you live the life of constant fighting. If you're a number one, if you wear the number one headband, you sit amongst the top and you're a god. There's only one person that you need to worry about. And generally the person at the top does not worry about it, which in this story is a character named Justice. Who actually took the number one headband from Afro Samurai's dad, and that's how the whole story of Afro Samurai came about. Like Afro wears the number two headband. His whole life was based off of revenge from watching his father's head get cut off by this guy who said like, now I'm a god, and so it's crazy. It's crazy anime. I love it, obviously, but it's just Afro's energy allocation was towards revenge, and rightfully so. It's what he saw. He couldn't unsee it. It is what it is. But the statement that I want to make is, in his energy, he walked the path to do what he wanted to do. It was a mission that he followed, right? And there are many ways and dynamics that we could chop this story up, right? But for me and this story, he had friends. He had people who cared about him. But he was a peaceful samurai. He knew what he had to do. He was doing what the headband depicted, and everyone else's energy was to get the number two headband, no matter what. Um, the life of the hunted is not always the desired life, but there still is a path within that life, if that makes sense to anybody. I just know that I don't want to be here with the number two headband trying to fight off everybody. Um, but I understand, the warrior's path. My own path felt like I was wearing a number two headband, depending on how things was happening, the way I had to maneuver through life to get here with you guys. So stick with me because I know there's more. Today is not today, but this weekend is start of summer, Memorial Day weekend. Um, it's the start of what the storm is for the summer or whatever, and it's a whole turn up season, and it's feeling like a really good season this year already. So I want people to just continue to embrace the time, the energy, go outside, go be with your families this summer, like enjoy, because that's what I'm gonna do. They need it, I need it, hell, we all need it. Um, and don't let your energy sway you, in any direction except for up, because we got to keep our energy up. I've been recording for quite some time now, and I appreciate whoever listens. Thank you. I know there's more to come. I've been working on some stuff, so stick with me. But it shall be dope summer. It shall be dope summer edition right now. Um, so yeah, we're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna try to have some people on and try to expand a little bit. So thank y'all for listening. Thank you for being here. Um, I'm Willie Whittle. This is our mission. We're walking the path to peace, and as long as we do it with love, it shall be dope. Thank you guys. Have a blessed day.